that the nature of God is totally different. The nature of sin, the problem, the solution are totally different. So now, then how can we say as Christians, is the next question. Well, how could you say, if they're not all pointing to the same place, how do you know that Christianity is true? Why, maybe Islam is true, or maybe Hinduism is true. Okay, so I'll buy the statement that they're not all the same. Okay? So what makes Christianity different? So the first point, and the main point, is Jesus. Okay? So Jesus claimed to be God, is the only religion in which there was someone who claimed to be God who came down in time and space in a historically verifiable situation. Now you might say, oh, Hinduism, they say that Krishna came down. Well, that's very different. If you've ever read the Bhagavad Gita and some of the other writings of the Hindus, it reads more like a mythology, and it's thousands and thousands of years ago, and it's not like it's not historically verifiable at all. There's no shred of historical evidence that points to any of that, and it reads like a myth. It's like so big and so grand, and it's like, okay, there's not even a hint of anything in here that could be considered historical. But Jesus came in time and space at a time when history was being recorded, and he claimed to be God. So here's the deal. All you have to do is test those claims. Either he was God, who he claimed to be, or else you can discard all of Christianity because it hinges on that one claim. You can discard it completely. But it's the only religion in which you can historically verify that it's true. Islam, sure. Muhammad lived after, but he didn't claim to be God. Muhammad didn't claim to be God. He just claimed to have heard things from God and wrote them down. That's very different. In fact, that's the same as like Joseph Smith, founder of the Mormon Church. He doesn't claim to be God, but he heard things and wrote it down. Jesus Christ came in time and space and claimed to be God. He also lived a sinless life. That's historically attested to. Also historically attested to that he did miracles, supernatural works, healings, casting out demons. And I could go into long descriptions of how we know that, but not only do we have that attested to in the scripture itself, but we also have these things being attested to by non-Christian history, by Jewish historians, by Roman historians, both of who would be in an enemy-type position towards Christianity. But their historians testified and wrote about Jesus, that he lived, that he performed miracles, that he was crucified, and it was claimed that he rose from the dead. So they'll all testify to that. Okay? So he did rise from the dead. The tomb is still there, and it's empty. You can go over to Israel, and you can see the tomb. Now there's two two competing claims for the tomb, but you can look at both of them, and they're both empty. So, there was 500 plus eyewitnesses. Not just one or two, 500 people. Also, really interesting, who were the first eyewitnesses of Jesus' resurrection? Women. That's hugely important. Because if it was made up, if they were just making it up, they would not have a woman be the first one to see the resurrected Jesus. Who would they have had? Peter. Right? Peter would have been the first one. Peter and John. But it didn't happen that way because this is a historical telling of what actually happened, and women were in fact the first ones to be there.